The story begins with Claire, a beautiful and simple girl, who meets a charming girl out for a jog one early morning. After finishing her run, the girl heads to take a bath. Claire, after her morning routine, heads to the hotel where she works and meets her stepmother, Miss Maud. The hotel had belonged to Claire's late father, and her mother had tragically passed away in a car accident years ago. Now, Miss Maud takes care of the hotel, with Claire assisting her in every possible way. Claire follows Maud's guidance obediently, and Miss Maud, looking at her fondly, tells her, "You're like my own daughter. You're young and beautiful, live your life to the fullest." As Claire works, a man named Bernard, Maud's boyfriend, arrives and asks to speak with Claire. Miss Maud watches the interaction from above, setting the stage for a key event in the story. Later that night, after finishing her work, Claire returns home. After a bath and some rest, she goes to sleep, but the next morning, she sets off for her morning jog. Unexpectedly, she is kidnapped by a mysterious woman who locks her in the trunk of a car. The kidnapper drives Claire through a hilly path, heading toward the forest. After some distance, the car swerves to avoid an animal and crashes into a tree. Claire escapes the wreck, running into the forest, but soon exhaustion takes over, and she collapses. As she struggles to get up, the kidnapper appears, pointing a gun at Claire and saying, "You're beautiful, and that's your mistake." Just as she says this, a gunshot rings out, and the scene cuts away. Claire wakes up in an unfamiliar room. She's confused, noticing she's without clothes. A man named Richard enters, bringing food for her. When Claire asks about her clothes, Richard explains that they were soaked and needed to be washed to avoid her getting sick. Claire asks about the kidnapper, to which Richard responds cryptically, saying that he had to kill the woman because she posed a threat. He tells Claire that he doesn't know why the woman targeted her, but insists that she shouldn't go to the police, as they won't help. After Richard leaves, Claire attempts to call her stepmother, but is interrupted by a man named Vincent who says he has asthma and desperately needs his inhaler. Claire helps him search for it, and he asks her who she is and why she's there. Claire replies she's just as confused as he is. Later, Claire encounters Richard's identical twin brother, Francis. After a brief confrontation with Richard, who insists that Claire must leave, she defies him. In a heated moment, Claire slaps Richard, but then begins to kiss him, determined to stay despite his protests. The next morning, both Richard and Francis are gone. Claire goes out and meets Vincent again. After a visit to a doctor named Sam for Vincent's dog, Claire opens up about her past, sharing how the tragic loss of her mother stopped her from playing the violin, though she now feels ready to start anew. Vincent gives her a violin as a gift. At home, Richard confronts Claire, angry that she went out and revealed her whereabouts. Claire feels trapped, but after seeing Richard outside chopping wood, she goes to speak with him. They share an intimate moment, which leads to further complications. The following days are filled with confusion, as Claire tries to navigate her growing attraction to both Richard and Francis. Meanwhile, other men, such as Dr. Sam, continue to take an interest in her. Sam even invites her to a club, where Claire's interactions with the people around her grow more complicated. Amid this turmoil, Claire's stepmother Maud becomes suspicious of her relationship with Bernard and decides to act. After learning that Claire is alive and staying in the area, Maud contacts Charles, the bookstore owner, to find out where Claire might be. Maud's jealousy of Claire's beauty fuels her desire to harm her. Meanwhile, Claire begins working at a local restaurant, where she continues to meet people, including Charles and his son Clement. One day, after a difficult conversation with Vincent about her past, Claire finds herself attracted to Clement, even though he is shy. Maud's jealousy grows as she watches Claire form relationships with others, including the church priest Father Gilbert. Claire struggles with her emotions, unsure of what to do as the people around her become more entangled in her life. In a dramatic turn, Maud poisons an apple, planning to kill Claire during a picnic near a waterfall. As Claire is about to eat the poisoned apple, Clement arrives just in time. After a tense exchange, Claire decides to leave, growing more distant from Maud. Later, Claire and Clement share an intimate moment in the forest, only to be observed by Maud. Bernard, too, becomes more and more entangled in Claire's life, and as tensions rise, Claire is forced to confront her feelings and the danger looming over her. As the story nears its climax, Claire attends a party where she dances with her friends. Maud, in her obsessive pursuit of Claire's downfall, poisons Claire's drink, ultimately leading to a deadly confrontation. Claire begins to feel ill, and Maud takes her out to the car, driving her through the hilly path, where she reveals her true intentions. In a heart-stopping moment, Maud opens the car door and throws Claire down the hill. However, in a twist of fate, Claire is saved. As Maud burns in a tragic accident, Claire awakens in the hospital, surrounded by friends and family. It is revealed that they had all been working together to save her, and Claire gives a relieved, sweet smile. The story ends with Claire, finally free from the twisted web of deceit and danger, looking ahead to a new life.